Janet to have a sense of itself, sitting solidly on its foundation, surrounded by a grove of elms and cottonwoods, protected from the vast emptiness of the plains that stretched to the horizon in every direction save one, where a stand of trees marked the route of a river making its way eastward to flow eventually into the Platte. "What's the name of the river?" Michael suddenly asked, and the question pulled Janet's attention from her father-in-law. "The Dismal," Amos replied as he brought the car to a stop in front of the house. A moment later, he was taking Janet's baggage out of the trunk. With a suitcase in each hand, he mounted the steps of the front porch, Janet and Michael trailing behind him. Suddenly, the door opened, and a figure appeared on the threshold, a woman, gaunt and hollow-cheeked, as though her life had been spent in constant battle with the unrelenting prairie. She was seated in a wheelchair. Janet felt Michael freeze next to her and took him by the hand. "We're back," she heard Amos Hall saying to the woman. "This is Mark's Janet, and this is Michael." The woman in the wheelchair stared at them in silence for a moment. Her face, worn with age and infirmity, had a haggard look to it, and her eyes, rimmed with red, seemed nearly lifeless. But a moment later she smiled, a soft smile that seemed to wash some of the years away from her countenance. "Come here," she said, spreading her arms wide. "Come and let me hold you." The numbness Janet had been feeling since last night, the numbness that had insulated her every minute today and allowed her to maintain her self-control as she packed their bags, ordered a cab, and got herself and Michael from Manhattan to the airport. The numbness that had sustained her through the change of planes in Omaha, the arrival in North Platte, and the drive to Prairie Bend, drained away from her now. "He's dead," she said, her voice breaking as for the first time she truly admitted to herself what had happened. Dropping Michael's hand, she stumbled up the steps and sank to her knees next to Anna Hall's wheelchair. "Oh, God! What happened to him? Why did he die? Why?" Anna's arms encircled Janet, and she cradled her daughter-in-law's head against her breast. "It's all right, child," she soothed. "Things happen sometimes, and there's nothing we can do about them. We just have to accept them." Over Janet's head, her gaze met her husband's for a moment, then moved on, coming to rest on Michael, who stood uncertainly at the foot of the steps, his eyes riveted in worried fascination on his mother. "You too, Michael," Anna gently urged. "Come give Grandma a hug and let her take the hurt away." The boy looked up then, and as his eyes met her own, Anna felt a flash of recognition surge over her frail body. In the boy, she saw the father, and as she saw her son in her grandson's eyes, she began to feel fear. Amos Hall led Janet and Michael up the narrow staircase to the second floor, where 3 large bedrooms and a generous bathroom opened off the hallway that bisected the house. He opened the door to the first bedroom, then stood aside to let Janet pass him. "You'll be in here. Used to be Laura's room." "Laura?" Janet echoed in a voice that sounded dazed even to herself. "Who's Laura?" Amos frowned, his eyes clouding. "Mark's sister. Until she got married, this was her room." Janet gazed at the room, taking in its details with apparent calm, while she frantically searched the corners of her memory for the information she knew must be there, that had somehow slipped away from her. The name Laura meant nothing to her. The whole idea of Mark having had a sister meant nothing to her. But that was ridiculous. If Mark had had a sister, he must have talked about her sometime over the years. She'd simply forgotten. Some kind of amnesia, maybe. Somehow, during the last few hours of shock, it must have been driven from her mind. "That's just fine," she said at last, careful not to let her voice betray her confusion. She glanced around the room once more, this time forcing herself to concentrate. There was nothing special about the room. It was simply a room, with a bed, a chair, a nightstand, and a dresser. She sank onto the bed, one hand reflexively coming up to cover her eyes as she felt them fill with tears. "Are you all right?"